hanging your Christmas with me on a class. See if you can. I think that we can do one thing. I can try and keep my camera on to keep you feeling a little better. If you can see me, can you see me? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that makes it a little better, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So how about you? Where are you? At your home?
Yes, sir. Right now I'm at my home.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So let's start.
So can you give me 10 seconds and can I fetch my charger, sir?
Yes. Yes.
Batteries.
Yeah. Cool. Take your time.
Yes, sir. I'm back.
Yes, Arpit. Yeah. Yeah. I think
Yes.
it's you and me only in the class. So if you want, you can keep your camera on also.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's do it
Okay.
like a private
Say-
class. I'm really
Easy.
sorry. I'm really sorry to keep you.
Says it. Hi, sir.
Hey, how are you?
Sam good.
Good, good.
Okay.
Nice. I like the sweatshirt though. Okay,
So
so let's start.
yes, sir. So in the previous class, we started with population density.
Mhm.
Sir, it is like the number of people living per unit area is defined as the population density. And sir, it like depends upon four factors, that is natality, mortality, immigration, emigration.
Correct.
And natality refers to the number of births during a given period.
Mhm.
Like it's basically the birth rate. And mortality, it is the number of deaths in a population during a given time. And immigration is the number of individuals that are coming to some habitat, and the immigration is the number of people leaving a particular area is known as immigration. And so then we discuss about the formula for this. So it is nt plus 1 nt, in brackets it's birth rate plus immigration, and minus death rate plus immigration.
Yeah, right. And I also told you that we need population density because sometimes it's not possible to work with the population size or the exact actual number of a population, right? So
Yes.
density, to find out density, we can just sample a small space or multiple small spaces and just count what is the density per unit area, and then just multiply with whatever is the total area. We get a average density of living organisms, right? So that's where,
Yes.
and I also told you, we don't even have to figure out the absolute density of one species if we have a data of relative density where one species with respect to the other species, like 3:1 ratio. So if we know that there are 3 times more the deers as compared to the tigers in a jungle, or 5 times more the deers as compared to tigers, that will also work for our ecological studies, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
that's why density becomes a better tool at hand. Great.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we did the growth model. So
Yeah.
we did exponential growth model. So it is basically like the growth of a particular organisms without any factors which are affecting the growth
Growth
of
of a population. So
population.
now we are talking about population dynamics. We will not consider any organism or its factor. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And so then we discussed this formula which you told, dn by dt.
Correct.
And yes, sir.
So let me go through it once again, and you stop me wherever you find it
Yes,
difficult.
sir.
Yeah. So thank you, Arpit. So as we know that whenever we have to find a change in any population size, so we take dn by dt, where d by dt is the change and n is the initial population density we begin with, and it is equal to n into, because now we are taking rates, birth rate and death rates, not the absolute birth count and death count. So we multiply it with that number. And I
Yes,
told
sir.
you that we take two exponents, b minus d. B is whatever is adding to the population, which means birth and immigration, and d is death, and also consider emigration, whatever, which is taking from the population. So
Yes,
n
sir.
into b minus d. Now this b minus d is the factor which is actually deciding the growth rate. Okay,
Yes.
it will, what if it is more than one, it will make the population expand. If it is less than one, it will make the population decline, because this is being multiplied with the initial population. So finally we get to this equation, dn by dt is equal to nr,
N into. Yes, sir.
or rn as your NCERT says. So where r is the intrinsic growth rate, or the intrinsic rate of natural increase, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you can also call it intrinsic rate of natural decrease, because populations also may decline. But NCERT just assumes that population is increasing, so that's why. And I told you that how to what it tells us. So dn by dt tells us the change in the population.
Change.
Yeah,
Yes.
and to find the actual population in the next generation or at the next time point, we have to then add it back to the initial population, right? So we find dn by dt to be 10. So this 10 is change, plus 10 is addition of 10 more individuals, minus 10 is subtraction. So whatever this plus 10's value is, we have to add or subtract it from the initial population. And then we get
Okay, sir.
nt plus 1. Okay. So
Yes.
this is the indirect way to find nt plus 1. Correct. In today's class, I'll tell you that we can also make this formula dn by dt is equal to nr into an integral form of it, where we can actually find nt plus 1 directly without going through this, that we find the change, then add the change to the initial population. Okay, but this part is clear to you?
Yes, that's clear.
Yeah. And because this formula has no limiting factor, it has no factor which limits the growth of the population. R, it can increase or decrease, but cannot cap the population. Okay, if the R is less than 1, it will decrease. It can again increase, again decrease, but you cannot say that how. So for decrease, there is always a natural limit, because when the population reaches 0, after that, it means that all the population is dead. So that's a natural limit for declining. But in
Yes,
this
sir.
growth model, there is no natural limit for increase. It can keep on increasing till any number. That's why we have this J-shaped graph that we get, J-shaped curve of the graph when we plot n versus t, right? Because it exponentially just keeps on increasing.
Increasing. Yes, sir.
So I also told you that this kind of a model is not an ideal model in natural environment, because in nature, howsoever unlimited resources may seem, there is always a limit, right? It may
Yes,
not
sir.
it may seem limitless in the beginning. For example, when we culture bacteria on a Petri plate, in the beginning, if I start with just, let's say, few thousand bacteria can keep on going exponentially to millions and billions of bacterial numbers. But after that also, when they will cover the whole plate, now the resources will start getting limited. And
Yes,
then
sir.
their population also, from a log phase, will now enter a lag and a stationary phase. This we discussed in the last class, correct? Yeah, so in today's class, we will just begin from here through the NCERT. Let me just share the book with you. Yeah, can you see the book?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, that's not how I want it. That's how I want it. Yeah. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. It's
Okay, great. So yes, this is what we started with, exponential. And let me pay some attention to this part here. So do you see here? So this is the curve that we were talking about, this red curve, which is the, you can also see my cursor, right?
Yes, it's a
I can actually draw certain things. So you can also draw here, which is a good point. So this particular equation is what we studied now, okay, which has no limiting factor. And this is the graph. But if you know calculus, which if you have studied a little bit of calculus, you had maths, right?
no.
No? Okay, so just know that whatever we did till now, it was the differential form, dn by dt, okay? We can also
Yes.
derive the equation in an integral form for the exponential growth, where this is nt, okay? You can also call it as nt plus 1 if you are taking this as nt. So initial population, NCERT has taken as N0. Can you see this N0?
Yes, sir.
And NT is at any time where you want to find the population density. So NT is equal to N naught, or the initial population, into E raised to power RT. Now this E is,
Sir,
yeah.
sir, what is population density at time 0?
Yeah, time 0 means when you start the study, where time 0
Okay,
means
okay.
like today's date. So suppose today you started experiment on studying some population dynamics of any species in a forest. So whatever you will get today, the count or the density, that will be at time 0. Okay. From today onwards, you will start taking the time as day 1, day 2, or month 1, or year 1, whatever. So that will be your NT from day 0 onwards. Okay.
Yes.
E is the base of natural log. Okay. With the value of which is 2.72 or 2.718. They say if you round it off to 2 decimals, that's 2.72. And R is, as usual, intrinsic rate of growth, and T is the time, whatever time. Suppose you want to study it after 2 years. So T here in terms of years will be 2, and R will be the growth rate of that population. So through
Yes,
through this equation, if you pay attention, you don't have to find the change. You are finding the density only at time T, right?
yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. And with this one, you find the change dn by dt.
Yes.
Okay, that's why this is called. So if a question comes in your board exams where they are asking you to find the what will be the population size or population density at nt is equal to 3 years. Okay, so in that question there will be n naught given, there will be r given, t also given. You just have to use this formula. If the question is asking what will be the change in the population density or population size, you have to use this formula. Okay,
Okay.
you can note this down somewhere, like to solve change, to find out change in populations, use dn by dt is equal to rn.
Yes.
Yeah. And to find the exact population density, population size at time t, you can use the integral formula. You have everything given in boards. They always give you the values of all these natural log, which is e. They also give you value for log 2, log 10. Whatever you need to use, the values will be provided to you. So you don't have to remember this value. Okay, if you remember,
Yes, sir.
very good, but not necessary. So you understand how.
Yes, sir.
Another way is if you know n for the initial population, and if you only remember this formula, by this also you can find the next generation's density by just adding the change to the initial, right? Remember?
Yes, sir.
We did. Is it clear to both of you?
Yes, it's true.
Okay, cool. So now let's go to the logistic growth. Now the whole point of studying logistic growth is because, as I told you, in nature, no growth is supported by unlimited resources, right?
Yes, sir.
So what actually limits, what factor limits any population size are, it could be food, right? It could just be space. It could also be the behavior among organisms, because many organisms, they fight for not just for resources but also for mates, and in that fight those who are not the fittest one will not get to mate or will not get the best food and they die early. So in nature there are a lot of restraint and constraints on the organisms. That's why this survival of the fittest comes up in nature, right? So you have to be fit in all parameters, reproductively fit, physically fit, to succeed in nature, right?
Yes, sir.
And this limit, whatever factors lead to limit, most importantly, if it is the resources like food, then we call this limit as the carrying capacity, nature's carrying capacity for that species population. Okay. For example, the carrying capacity of predators will be majorly decided by how many preys are available. Okay.
Okay.
If I ask you, if I ask you that I have just 100 in a forest, there are 100 deers, then it's very obvious that you cannot sustain too many tigers on that 100 deers, you know,
Yes, sir.
just a
Yes, sir.
few. But if we have 10 lakh deers in a jungle, it's a big jungle and there are lakhs of deers, then you can say that, you know, even the predator population can also be high because there is a lot of resources for the predator. Okay, so that's called the carrying capacity, what the maximum the nature can carry, and we will denote it as K. Is this concept clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So for every species, the carrying capacity is different. There will be a different carrying capacity for primary producers, which are plants, and their carrying capacity will depend on what is the uh, mm, uh, raw nutrient present in the soil, how much of sunlight is available, what is the photo period of that ecosystem, how much water is available, etc., etc. Okay, how much decomposers and nitrogen fixing bacteria are present in the soil, which means how fertile the soil is. So that defines primary producers carrying capacity in nature.
Sir, it is valid for like plants, animals, every organism.
Yes, every species has a carrying capacity, but every species, whether it belongs to the category of primary producers, primary consumer, secondary consumer, or tertiary consumer, on the basis of that, that carrying capacity number varies. Okay. As we
Okay, sir.
go up the pyramid, trophic pyramid,
Yes, sir.
carrying capacity keeps on becoming smaller and smaller. Okay. So there can be billions of grasses, then millions of trees, maybe lakhs of deers, just some thousands of foxes or jackals, and just a few hundreds of tigers. You understand? That's how the
Yes.
pyramid is sustained. So for the population which is growing and the habitat is limited by resources, there is so first there will be acceleration. So if you look at this graph, let me go up here. Can you see this blue graph in your book?
Yes, sir.
This blue graph is for the logistic growth. So you will see that till this point, if I cut this graph here, sorry, a big cut, but till this point, you can see that this just looks like a more less steeper J, but the both look like same. These both graphs look like same, right? In the beginning.
Yes, sir.
It's only that the graph for exponential growth is much steeper than the graph for
Steeper.
logistic growth.
Yes,
But
sir.
what happens is beyond this point. So after one point, you can see that the blue graph is saturating at this point, which here is called the K, which is the carrying capacity, right? This point. So in
Yes, sir.
nature, for every species, howsoever time you give them, they will always saturate at one point. And that point will be called K in population density, the K, which means carrying capacity in terms of population density. Okay, makes sense?
Yes, sir.
Now let's see how this graph came up. So the formula for this is, it's the same. dn by dt is equal to Rn. Till this point, till here, it is the logistic growth formula only, right? Did you see
Yes,
that?
sir.
So what differs is this bracket. Now what is this bracket? So they have not explained it here, but let me just derive it for you. So how do we come up with this bracket is, so write down dn by dt is equal to dn by dt is equal to Rn in the bracket we take 1 minus n upon k. 1 minus n
Okay.
upon k. So this 1 minus n upon k, if you just solve this, it will come as k minus n upon k, right?
Yes, sir.
Correct? You understood?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Basic mathematics, yeah. So if I solve this, it will be k minus n upon k. Now, why this? How does this make sense? It makes sense as, so let's say 1 is the maximum, the population, like, which in this case is k. K, I told you, is the carrying capacity, right?
Yes, sir.
So this is the maximum a population can go to in a real world. N is the population that we are studying at the moment, right?
Yes,
At
sir.
time 0 or time 1, time 2, whatever we take. So this n will keep changing. It can be n0, n1, n2, nt, whatever. Now, it can maximum go to k. So when the population will reach the maximum, this n will become k, right?
Yes, sir.
Then this whole bracket will become k minus k upon
K
k,
minus K.
which means it's
0.
0, right? So 0
Yes, sir.
multiplied by r into n will be
0.
0 again. So dn by dt will be
0.
so, which means there will be no change when the population size reaches the carrying capacity. Beyond that, it cannot go any up.
Oh, yes, sir.
That is how this concept works. So at any
Okay.
given time, this n will be smaller than k in a real world. Okay.
Okay.
When it will be smaller than k, k minus n will be something. Okay.
Okay,
And
sir.
that something over k will again be something with which we will multiply r and n, and there will always be some change. So it seems like there will always be some growth unless and until the population reaches the k value.
Oh.
Beyond that, there will be no growth. Okay.
Sir,
And
this K is due to some like conditions.
yes, this k is due to limited resources in nature.
Okay.
Okay. For example, I told you about tigers, no? So let's say 10 tigers are there and they need every day, then all these 10 tigers need to eat, let's say 1 deer. So per day, there will be 10 deers exhausted from the deer population. You understand?
Yes.
So accordingly, there cannot be unlimited deers, no? For deer also, there cannot be unlimited grass to graze.
Yes.
Yeah. Even for a bacteria on a culture plate, after some time, there cannot be unlimited resources to keep going on. So deaths will start happening. Okay. And new births and death will balance out at the best case scenario, and population will reach a stable point. That will be the carrying maximum it can reach this carrying capacity. Many population in nature actually stabilize much before the carrying capacity. That's how nature operates. So the best, if you will see population dynamics of any organism, you will realize that the population could have grown even further, but it stabilized. It chose to stabilize below that point so that everyone gets well fed, except for one population, which is human population on Earth. We have not reached our carrying capacity yet, but we are growing very fast. And there are many theories which tells different numbers as a carrying capacity. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So it makes sense to you, this formula, right?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
So this is the formula for logistic growth. dn by dt is equal to Rn brackets k minus n upon k. Okay. Where n at any given point should be less than k. And there should be some factor. So as n will increase, another point I wanted to highlight here is, as n will keep on increasing, which means, let's start here with the graph. Can you see my pointer?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let's start here at the graph. The n is very low, right?
Yes, sir.
Then n starts increasing. As n starts increasing, this k minus n will increase or decrease?
Sir, this K minus N.
Yeah.
Can you repeat?
So as n will keep increasing, let's say k, fix k. You fix a k value. What do you want to take as a K value? Let's say we are studying any fox species. So what do you think could be K? 100, let's say hypothetically 100.
Yes.
100 is the K value. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
fox species cannot go beyond 100
Beyond 100.
individuals. Okay. So as this n will increase, it is 1 here, let's say 2, 5, 8, 10. So as this n will keep increasing, this K minus n value will keep decreasing, right? Because
Yes, sir.
you are subtracting more and more from K.
Yeah.
K is
Exactly.
fixed, no?
Yes, sir.
So from 100, at this point, you are subtracting 10. At this point, you are subtracting 50. At this point, you are subtracting 80. So this K by n will keep on
Decrease.
And so a smaller number will be multiplied with this R into n, correct?
Yes, sir.
So numerator will keep on getting smaller and smaller. Denominator anyways is fixed, it's K. So overall, a smaller numerator upon a bigger denominator is a smaller number, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so a smaller number will be multiplied with Rn. So a smaller change will be there. Do you see this?
Oh, yes, sir.
So as the n increases, till some time it seems like it is following the exponential growth model, a less steeper but exponential growth model. This we call as the log phase of the population. Okay. Beyond this point, as the n will increase more, this whole factor will decrease because K minus n will be smaller. And therefore the change will be smaller.
Yes, sir.
The density. So the graph will start saturating because there will be less change on the y-axis when the x-axis will increase, because time
Yes,
cannot slow down or fasten up. It will go on its pace. But population density change will start becoming slow and slow. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So what I mean to say here is, let's say this time is in years. So in first year, we started with 2 foxes. And by the second year, we got 4 foxes. Population doubled.
Yes, sir.
Let's say by third year, we got 8 foxes, somewhat like a exponential model. But as we will keep going, when there are 10 foxes, remember 100 was the limit we took?
Yes, sir.
So now it's 100 minus 10, 90 over 100. Then next year it will be 100 minus 15, which is 85 over 100. And so on, so forth. Yeah. So this value will keep decreasing.
Yes.
So in the beginning, first 3 years, the change was 2, 4, and 8. But after that, the change will be again less. Not 8. Let's say the change is only 6, then only 2, and then only 1. And by the time you reach this point, which I'm marking here, there will be no change. Right? So if one fox is born, one has to die because there are limited resources.
Yes, sir.
Clear?
Yes.
Right. So that's logistic growth model. And it is also this population, this formula is also known as the Verlost-Pearl equation. Okay. You just note this down. This came in one of your mock also. I gave this question in one of the mock tests. What is Verlost-Pearl logistic? So the word logistic won't be there in your exams. It is just in NCERT, because if this word is there, that's the answer. So they will ask which of the following given formula is also known as Verlost-Pearl equation. Okay, so this is Verlost-Pearl equation. Always remember, in Verlost-Pearl equation, Rn in the bracket K minus n upon K has to be there. Okay. Cool? Yeah. Okay. Any doubts in this?
No, sir.
Okay. So this is why are you studying this here in population dynamics, is because this is how the census for every country is conducted. Okay, you might have read the news or this article that human population reached 8 billion, right?
Yes.
So did you think that someone just went and started counting the people amidst COVID?
No, sir.
How do we know that it's 8 billion?
It's awareness only.
Yeah, it's a predicted value. And we predicted because we know the growth rate, we know the R of
R.
human population.
Yes, sir.
We start with N, which was the last consensus which was done, okay, overall. And then we predict on the curve because we know how the graph is going to be look like, right? We know when it will start saturating.
Yes, sir.
We are somewhere here now. We have not reached the, because when we will reach here, it is clear that we will be exhausting all the resources. So that's why we have to slow down the population growth, which seems very unlikely. Anyways,
Yes.
but yeah, I think India is going to beat China also in the next 3-4 years. You know that?
Yes, sir.
By
Yes, sir.
2028, it is predicted that India will be the most populous country in the world, beating China. Great, at least we are beating China in something.
We can only beat in population, I guess.
Sad but true. We should. Yeah, I think we are doing good in sports.
Yes. Yeah.
Not as good as China in Olympics, but yes, still in some sports. Anyway, so why is this important? Because government consensus data of population, human population, it's taken, and then the plot is plotted exactly using this logistic growth model, and then we predict a value that this could be India's population in 2022, and this is India's population the next year. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so any doubts? I'll stop here for a minute if you have any doubt. Kulsum, do you have any doubt? Okay, no doubts. Great. So now, the next thing that we have to discuss is this life history variation. It simply means that whenever a population in the nature has to choose between two things, one is either you can grow in number or you can grow in size. Okay, so you will see that those organisms which grow in number, which are a lot on the planet, they are not very big. The best example is insects. Okay, there are around 3 lakh different species of beetles on the planet that we have discovered till now, and in every species there will be millions of individual beetles. Make sense? So 3 lakh species, in every species, let's say there are 10 lakh beetles, which I'm taking a very low number. Still, it is a lot, correct?
Yes, sir.
Can you imagine the same numbers for a tiger species? No, right? For an elephant, no. So these many elephants won't be able to survive in the wild on resources. So the life history variations is a theory which says that due to selection pressures on organisms, either the organism choose to produce many offsprings which are smaller in size, or few offsprings which are bigger in size. Okay. Like elephants always give birth to just one more elephant, right? They are more like humans. Humans can sometimes even give twins, and triplets are very common these days. But elephants do not give birth to one, or in very rare cases, two babies at a time. Okay.
So what's in case of humans, sir? Ever a woman giving birth to how many babies?
So I think last week only the Guinness Book of World Record was given to a I think it was Saudi Arabian woman. She gave birth to 9 babies at a time. So so that is the record for 9 live babies. So all of them survived. So at one given pregnancy, she gave birth to 9 babies, and none of them were identical twins, which means in case of identical twin, you actually fertilize only one ovum, but during the before the implantation, the zygote breaks and segregates into 2, right?
Yes,
I told
sir.
you about
Yes, yes.
From 1 to 2 cell, most of the identical twins in humans are formed at 1 to 2 cell stage. So when these 2 cells from one zygote divide, instead of sticking together, they go to different, like they separate, and they continue to divide. So they form exactly 2 identical babies. But in this woman's case, there were 9 different ovums fertilized by 9 different sperms at the same time. So that's, first of all, it's a disorder called hyperovulation in the female ovary, where both her ovaries ovulated. Probably because for one ovary to ovulate 9 ovums is very, very,
It's
very,
not
very rare.
possible.
We can't say it's not possible in biology, but it's
It's
very,
difficult.
yeah. And so there were 9 ovums present at the same time and 9 sperms fertilized all of them. So she had 9 different babies. None of them were identical twins. And that's the Guinness Book of World Record for alive babies. But that's very
Oh.
extreme, right? So in humans,
Yes, sir.
mostly humans give birth to 1 or 2. 2 because identical twins can be formed. Non-identical twins are also not that rare. So 2 and 1 are very common at one pregnancy. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this says, if you read this line, that so populations evolve to maximize their reproductive fitness. That's true. So it is a human endeavor that we have to do science, we have to go to space, we have to study, become doctor, and do this and that. In the
Yes.
wild, organisms have just one goal: maximize your reproductive fitness, leave as many progenies as you can, because many of them will die. Only
Yes,
the
sir.
fittest will survive. In human evolution, if you start putting these things, then straight out 70% of human population will wipe out, because we are not fit. Many of us are not fit, but we are still alive because of medical facilities that we invented. So Darwinian fitness does not apply on humans currently, like as a selection pressure. So what I mean by reproductive fitness is basically a high R value, right? Based
Yes,
on
sir.
before this models,
Yes,
R
sir.
is the intrinsic rate
It's
of
rate
increase.
of natural.
Yes, and that is, if a population has more Darwinian fitness, it has a high R value. So this is what most of the organisms or populations want to achieve. Now, under this selection pressure, organisms evolve towards doing two things. One of the two things. Either they evolve, so some organisms breed only once in their lifetime. In their lifetime, I'm saying. So they die after that. Even some octopus species do that. So there are these salmon fish and bamboo as a plant. Bamboo also flowers, but very few people have seen bamboo flowering. Bamboo flowers just once in its life.
Sir, I haven't seen.
Yeah, like you're just too young to see bamboo flowering. And anyways, do you have bamboos around you? I don't think so, right?
No, sir.
Yeah. My grandfather has seen bamboo flowering once in his life, and he died at the age of 76. So even my father has not seen bamboo flowering. So it's okay. Okay. So when my grandfather saw the bamboo flowering, it was not all the bamboo trees at once. There were few. So he had this. I come from Bihar. So in Bihar, bamboo plantation is a very big. It's a business, right? You maintain bamboo because a lot of roofs. Earlier times, like the huts, the roofs, all these are made of bamboo.
Bamboos, yes, sir.
Yeah. So he used to have bamboo plantations. We still have that, but he has only seen it flowering once in his life. Okay, so some species breed only once. About salmon fish, Pacific salmon fish, what happens is these salmon fish, to lay eggs, they have to swim upstream of a river to find a place which has perfect temperature, and so they live in marine water, but they have to lay eggs in the fresh water after mating. So what they do from oceans, they swim back to rivers, freshwater sources. Okay. And this journey is very exhausting. So they can only make it one way. They can go there, leave a lot of eggs, and then on their journey back, they die. So they only reproduce or breed only once in their life. While other organisms can breed multiple times, like humans, birds, other higher mammals. Now, you will always see that organisms that breed less leave more progenies in one go, like this salmon fish. They have to lay thousands and thousands of eggs because they will only get the chance once. For bamboo also, when it flowers, it is like full, loaded, lots and lots of seeds they leave. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So in case of like oysters, for example, they produce a large number of small sized offspring. So just pay attention here. You can write this down. Oysters and fishes, this pelagic fish, they produce large number of small sized offsprings. Okay. Whereas birds and mammals, which are humans, tigers, elephants, deers also. So birds and mammals produce small number of large sized offsprings. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now this is called life history traits. It is a trait of every population. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And according to evolutionary biologists, how it evolved is because of the constraints that decides the carrying capacity in ecosystem. So because of food constraints, mating constraints, water, habitat, space,
Yes, sir.
this life history traits set in. Is this clear? Life
Yes,
history
sir.
variation. So you will find a lot of variation among organisms. Okay, cool. So any doubts?
No, sir. It's clear.
Now the last part of this chapter talks about population interactions. And with this, I think today we will be able to discuss and finish. How long is this? Yes, I think we can try to finish it. It's all theory. So what we studied, just a recap till now, what did we learn about population dynamics? First thing, there are many features about population which are called population attributes that are not
Yes, sir.
applicable to organisms.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Some of these features are population size, population growth, sex ratio, age pyramids, okay, population density, population growth models, etc., etc. So these are not applicable to individuals.
Yes, sir.
What we also learned is that populations have a varied life history variation. So some populations decide to leave lots of progenies which are small
Progeny.
size. Some populations choose to leave less progenies but are big sized. Because this has evolved because of constraints imposed by abiotic and biotic.
Biotic components. Yes, sir.
Perfect. So now finally we have to talk about population interactions. Now what is population interaction? Because we are talking about ecosystems, right? We are talking
Yes,
about
sir.
this ecology. So no population lives in isolation, correct? No organism
Yes.
lives in complete isolation. You cannot survive. So there has to have interactions between different species or different populations. Now, these interactions, why do populations interact? You take any population. Why do mosquitoes come and bite humans? So when they are biting us,
For their survival.
yes, they are interacting with us, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
a mosquito, a female mosquito coming to take humans' blood, there is a reason behind that. And the reason is that female mosquito needs that blood to raise its embryos. Okay, so to nourish the embryos, it does not need it for itself. Okay, but for the embryos. So again, in that interaction between a mosquito and human, who is at advantage?
So the mosquito.
Mosquito. And what are humans at? Are we at a disadvantage or are we neutral?
Disadvantage, sir.
Yes, we were supposed to be neutral, but
It can
because
cause some disease.
yes, but because there is one more interaction happening between the mosquito and a pathogen. Okay.
Yes.
So there is a pathogen called Plasmodium, about which we studied in the previous chapter.
Yes, sir.
Right? Plasmodium vivax. So
Yes, sir.
Plasmodium have an interaction with mosquito, where Plasmodium can survive in a mosquito's salivary gland.
Glands, yes.
There, this Plasmodium is at advantage, and mosquito is neutral. Mosquito is not at advantage, not at a disadvantage. So it does nothing to a mosquito, just uses the mosquito as a host, because
Yes, sir.
finally has to come to human to complete the life cycle. So because of an already pre-existing interaction between mosquito and pathogen. When mosquitoes interact with humans, it is another layer of interaction. And an interaction which was supposed to be neutral in evolution now ended up being advantageous to mosquitoes and disadvantageous to humans.
Yes, sir.
So that's called a pathogenic or a parasitic kind of relationship. Okay, so that's one example. Similarly, there are many examples of interactions. We categorize all the interactions in nature into 6 broader categories. First is mutualism. Okay, this. Now mutualism is where one species is at benefit. So plus means benefit or advantage, minus means disadvantage, and this 0 means
Neutral.
neutral, no effect. Okay.
Yeah.
So in a mutualism, both species A and species B are at advantage.
So,
Yes,
sir, is this symbiotic relationship? Because
it is. It is
in
exactly.
that,
Yeah, it is exactly symbiotic relationship. So symbiotic relationship between a fungal partner and an algal
yes,
partner gives rise to
mutualism.
lichen. Yes, and lichen is a perfect example of mutualism.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Another example for mutualism is you will see sometimes there are crocodiles when they come out of water, they open their mouth and they are basking in the sun. Correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
Some small birds come and sit inside that open mouth of the crocodile. So if crocodile wants food, it can just snap the mouth and eat the bird, but
Yes.
it never eats the bird. And it's people find it very amazing, but this is a mutualistic relationship that they have developed. So what do birds do? They peck everything like the remnants of the meal from the teeth. So they are like brushing the teeth. They are cleaning the teeth of the crocodile so that there is no leftover food degrading and causing an infection to the crocodile.
So do crocodile knows that they're helping
Yes,
them?
yes. Crocodile knows that they are helping them. That's why they never snap their mouth and never eat these birds, because these birds are like a free food.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a free food in your mouth, coming to your mouth directly. Right?
Yes.
But crocodiles know that if I eat this bird, I might get
Yeah.
some nutrition. But in
Yeah.
a long run, I'm going to be more benefited if I don't eat this bird, because this bird will eat everything around from my teeth and clean my teeth.
Yes, sir.
That will be more beneficial to me. So even crocodiles know the concept of hygiene, it seems. Right?
Yes.
We should brush our teeth. Crocodiles also do that. So that's a symbiotic mutualistic relationship. It's not symbiotic, but it's mutualistic relationship.
Mutualistic. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So that is first kind of interaction. The second kind of interaction is called competition model. In competition model, we are taught, because you are going to compete for an entrance, right?
Yes, sir.
So we always take it in our mind that we are competing. I always tell all my students, never get into a competition model, because according to proven biology, in a competition, species A and species B both are at
Yeah, they're loss.
both are at loss. So a true competition helps no one. Okay? So you just have to succeed by not, defeating anyone. You just do your best.
Yeah.
So you have no competition. You just have to do your best. Keep that in mind. Because if there are 10 lakh people and you keep this mindset of competition, then automatically you will feel like I'm 1 versus 9,99,999. Your morale
Yes,
goes
sir.
down right away. But if you think that, okay, I just need to clear this, do my best, get 1 seat for myself, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just growth, population growth model. R is your intrinsic growth factor, how much you prepare, how well you study, how willing are you to sacrifice your Christmas parties and take a full class. So that's one thing, one way you can look at it. And if you increase your R, your growth will be there, right? So no competition. Don't take it
Yes,
as
sir.
competitive. Yes. So in a competition, biological competition, both species are at loss. Now, why are they are at loss is because both compete for same resources. That's where competition comes in, right?
Yeah.
So if there is, let's say for plants, the competition can be for pollinators. The competition can be for the sunlight. So some plants, what they do, have you ever been to a forest, Arpit or Kulsum?
Not exactly forest.
Or ever been to a very a region which is very densely populated by trees?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So, if you will go to a natural forest ecology, yes, Kulsum has been there. So I have been to quite a few reserves, tiger reserves, Kanha, Jim Corbett in India. In the very,
Yes, I have been to Jim Corbett.
oh, great. Then, very dense regions, if you'll go and see, you will always see if there are two trees or two species of trees with almost same height. So their
Yes, sir.
canopies will not touch each other.
Oh,
You will see that their canopies will have some gap. They will look something like this, like a gap.
sir, I
So
haven't noticed.
yeah, so one tree species does not allow the other tree species to go beyond a canopy, like come in its, like the trees will not be all submerged within itself. One tree will maintain a space. In that space, it will not allow other canopies to grow. And that is still a very puzzling thing for botanists and ecologists who are studying botany, that how do plants actually manage to compete in this way? Even for nutrition, down in the earth, you will see some plants going very deep. So their root systems are very segregated. And where they overlap, there is always competition. So one root has to lose.
Yeah.
But you will see that most of the time, both the roots lose because both of them are getting less nutrition because they are competing for the same nutrition.
Yes.
So in nature, when populations evolve, they always evolve to bring down competition as much as they can and look for diversification of resources. So if to begin with, there are two fish that are feeding on the same thing. So after 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 years ago, they will start diverging a little. Either one fish will start eating something else or the other fish will start eating something else because they were both at lost. And this kind of model is also seen in temporary setups where migratory birds, so you know about migratory birds, Siberian cranes,
Yes, sir.
and are one kind of migratory birds. So these, or flamingos, are migratory birds. So these birds migrate from Europe and come towards the tropical regions. From temperate to tropical, they migrate when it's very cold there. Okay, so they come to Indian subcontinent, and there are many freshwater lakes in India and around in the subcontinent, which gets completely filled and crowded by these flamingos. Now, what happens is, before they came in that lake, there were fish that were living, right? Many fish species that were living, and those fish were feeding on small crustaceans, shrimps, prawns, etc., right? Or the eggs of the amphibians. Now, when these Siberian cranes or these flamingos come, they also feed on shrimps, prawns, and the crustaceans. So during their migratory season, there is a competition between the fish and the migratory birds for the same resources which is present in that water.
Sir, but what is the loss for them?
The loss is that yes. So that's a very good question. That's a beautiful question. How can we say that there is a loss for both? By elaborate your question. So people have studied that during the migratory seasons of these birds, so these birds have flown over thousands of kilometers. They have lost a lot of weight in that journey. So when they come back, they want to eat and gain some weight so that they can fly back. Correct? Okay. And the other fish species which were normally living and eating and were producing. So what happens is, it has been seen that they both kind of settle for suboptimal benefit. So fish R values goes down. Intrinsic rate of growth goes down till the time flamingos are around.
Yes.
And the flamingos R value also goes down, and their weight increases, but not as much as it was when they were in their native place. So both settled for a, like, if it's like, so what happens in how we think competition is, like if India is playing Bangladesh, so one will lose, one will win. It's all or none, right? So
Yeah.
if we get into a fist bump fight, or fist fight, and let's say there is $100 at stake, so whoever wins takes all.
Yeah.
But because this is human rules, but in nature it's not all or none. It's always like we have one pie, one cake, and
Yes,
you
sir.
will also eat from it, I will also eat from it. So no one of us will get a full cake, full share.
Oh,
So both of us are at loss. We could
oh,
have gotten the full share if you were not there. You could have gotten the full share if I was not there. But because
yes,
we
sir.
both are there and we both coexist, we are taking from the same resources. That's competition model.
Oh,
Both these birds, migratory birds and fish, are at loss. Their R values go down. Okay, that's how we
okay,
know
sir.
that competition leads to loss of both the species.
Okay, sir.
Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good. Now the third kind of model of interaction is predation. It's very clear that predation, one has to be at benefit, other
There
has to
has
be
to be
at loss.
loss.
Right? It's simple.
Yes, sir.
Tiger and deer. So tiger catches the deer. If tiger manages to catch the deer is gone, right? There is
Yeah.
nothing the deer can negotiate and say that, okay, you take my leg and leave me.
Yes,
No,
sir.
it's dead. But if the tiger cannot catch the deer, then tiger has lost a lot of energy in vain. So
Yeah.
the victory was of the deer and tiger lost. And
Yes, sir.
it may cost tiger the life, because it happens. For these, we think that predatory animals are very, very fierce, reproductively fit, they are enjoying their life, but it's not that. Their survival rate, their success rate for predating is very less. So for cheetahs and leopards, which are among the fastest,
Yes, sir.
still the success rate is 1 in every 4 or 5 attempts. So they only succeed once in every 4 or 5 attempts they make. Again,
Mm.
so it's life is very crucial for them as well. They have to. Have you ever seen a cheetah hunting? At least
Yes,
in
I've seen
Discovery
in
channels,
Nat
right?
Geo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nat Geo Discovery. So
Yes, sir.
cheetah is a very fast
Yeah.
running animal, the fastest on land, we say, right? The
Yes, sir.
fastest in water is swordfish, by the way. That also has
Okay.
come in one of the NEET exams. So the fastest swimmer is swordfish. So this fish has a snout which is like a sword, very pointed snout.
I have seen it in some cartoon. I don't remember.
Yeah, they have a sword-like thing.
Yeah.
So they're very fast. And they are not very fast because of the sword-like snout. People used to think that because they have very powerful pectoral muscles. So the muscles at
Oh.
the back, they can
Yeah.
generate a lot of force. And of course, the sword helps in cutting down the water, but this is not from where they are generating the power.
Mm.
So cheetahs can run very fast, but do you know that they can only sustain that fast speed for a few seconds, 10 to 15 seconds, not more than that. Can you think why is that?
Mm. So
I'm
to
just
save
telling you
energy.
how. Yes, actually you are right. When humans run, what happens to the body? Heart rate goes up,
Yeah.
body temperature starts rising very fast.
Yes. Yes, sir.
All the blood starts circulating into the muscles,
Yes, sir.
away from the brain, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So when a cheetah is running at a speed which is around 100 knots per hour,
Yes, sir.
120 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
At that speed, the cheetah's brain is not getting enough oxygen because all of it is utilized by the muscles. The cheetah's heart rate is going beyond, even 200 beats per minute. And the heart and the brain cannot sustain that for very long. So if a cheetah has to make a very diligent move that when to start running, because a deer
Mm.
runs slower, but it is more agile. It can take very sharp turns. So you must have seen that to dodge the cheetah, deer never runs in straight line, because
Yeah.
that way you can never outcompete a cheetah. So what it does, it makes very sharp turns,
Yes.
which is very difficult for a cheetah to make, because the faster you go, the difficult it is to make a turn.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
And in that 15 seconds, if you can catch a deer, you get the reward for your exhausted energy. But if you
Mhm.
do not, then just like in a game of Mario, your one life is gone. And cheetah may
Yes.
only now attempt 2 more times. If 3 or 4 times cheetahs fail in a go, in continuously, then they have no energy actually to make another attempt. So their life is also very much at stake. Okay. So what happens is sometimes they get some leftover food which they eat and then get some energy. But it's difficult for predators as well. So in predation,
Yes.
one is at loss, one is at benefit. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The fourth interaction is parasitism. Parasitism is in terms of the output, it is same as predation, which means one is at benefit, one is at loss. But there is a difference between predation and parasitism. The first difference is the size of the organisms. In predation, a predator has to be most of the time bigger than the prey. Make sense? Like it's
Yes.
not bigger in size all the time, but stronger than the prey, because the predator has to control the prey, right? If the prey is more powerful,
Yes,
the
sir.
predator cannot control it. That's the reason that no apex predator can hunt a giraffe or an elephant alone. So you will never see cheetahs, lion, tigers hunting an elephant, a full-grown elephant alone. Even
Yes.
if they do that, so they do that for giraffe in Africa, but they do it in packs, group.
Okay.
Okay.
So can I take a 1 second break, sir? My dad is.
Yes, please. So let's take a 1 minute break. I'll take a water break and we'll join back. Kulsum, you have any doubt? A 1 minute break, a couple of minutes break will fine. Okay, cool.
Yes, sir, I'm back.
Hey, Arpit.
Yes, sir.
Back. Yeah, cool. So, how to get rid of this? Just give me 1 second.
Yes, sir.
Camera is placed at a weird. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, yes. So the difference between predation and parasitism we were talking. You can write down. This is a question from boards. Delhi
Yes.
asked it in 2016 and 17, I think. So, what is the difference between a predation and a parasitism interaction? So most of the time students write the wrong answer, which is they talk about species A is at benefit, species B is at loss, but that is same for both. So the difference is in predation, there is a predator and a prey. And the predator is a independent organism which hunts down the prey, overpowers the prey, is more stronger than the prey, and kills the prey. Okay.
So can you repeat again?
Yes. So write down in predation, the predator is
Yes, sir.
mostly larger in size. I'm using the word mostly because in biology, even smaller predators can hunt in group and bring down a bigger prey, like lions do for giraffe in Africa.
Yes, sir.
So mostly larger in size, stronger than the prey.
Yes, sir.
And it hunts down and kills the predator to eat it. hunts down and kills the predator to eat it. Okay. So
Yes, it does.
predator is always at benefit and prey is always at loss most of the time. In parasitism, there can be two types of parasites, endoparasite and ectoparasite. Right now, in parasitism, there are two types of parasites, endoparasite and ectoparasite. Ectoparasite are those which live outside the host body or on the surface. Okay.
Okay.
Like ticks and lice, such as ticks and lice. So pets get these ticks if you don't treat
Yes.
them, right? And humans get the lice on their scalp. That's
Yeah.
parasitism. Ectoparasitism. Endoparasites means where the parasite lives within the
Inside.
body, inside. For example, liver fluke or tapeworm in humans. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So you can give these two examples. And you can also, another thing is, for parasitism to happen, the parasite has to always be smaller than host. Whether
Yeah.
it is living on the body or inside the body, if it is bigger than the host, it cannot live, right?
Yes.
The parasite, the species which is at benefit is
Yeah.
smaller in size. Most of the time it is a microbe. Whereas in
Oh.
predation, the species which is at benefit is always larger
Larger.
and
Yeah.
stronger. That's the
Yes.
major difference. Okay.
Yes. Sir.
Cool. Great.
Yeah.
Great. So that's the difference. Fourth interaction zone. By the way, I was just looking at the like a wall before. I had the same sticker in my room and when I was doing my masters in TIFR, like I had the
Oh.
same kind of sticker.
Sir, I'm very fond of this. I'm decorating my house and this.
Yeah. Right. Exactly the same sticker, these birds and all. Yes, it's
Oh.
like you are sitting in that room and taking. Okay, so the fifth interaction is commensalism. So commensalism and amensalism are the two interactions which are not mostly heard but important. Here, commensalism is where one species is at benefit but other is neutral. It is neither at a benefit nor at a loss.
Oh.
Okay, that's called commensalism. For example, as I told you, this have you ever seen big whales in Nat Geo? Like when
Yeah,
the
in the
whales
TV only.
yeah. So when they are swimming, you will see that under these big fishes, there are small fish that swim under their bellies. People sometimes think they are their babies, but they are not their babies. There are some other
Oh.
species of fish which are just swimming under the big fish so that nothing attacks them. No one would like to
Oh.
dare and attack them when they are just under the fin of a whale or a shark, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So in that case, the smaller fish are at benefit, right? But the whale has nothing to do. It
Nothing to
does
do.
not
Yes,
care.
exactly.
It
Yeah.
has no benefit, no loss. It does not care at all. You just swimming with me, swim with me. I don't care.
Yes.
Sometimes we will also see that the bellies of whale or the bodies of whale have these barnacles attached on it. These are crustaceans, shell creatures, shell-like things which are attached to their body everywhere. Or you will see sometimes, again, the best example is barnacles only. So barnacles on a whale's body or small fish swimming with big predatory fish or big fish, which are non-predatory also. So here one is at benefit, other has nothing to do. Another good example of commensalism is antibiotics that you can write in boards. So Penicillium notatum is a fungi.
Yes, sir.
It produces penicillin, right?
Yes, sir.
And that penicillin kills the bacteria. But
yes.
After studies, scientists realized that the fungi is not killing the bacteria on purpose. Actually, it has no purpose. Okay, so that's an example of amensalism. Sorry, not commensalism. where the fungi has nothing to do. It is just secreting penicillin because it's secreting penicillin. But because of that penicillin, the bacteria is at loss. They are dying.
Oh,
So that's an example of ammencellism.
it's-
And barnacles on a whale is an example of commensalism. Okay,
yes, sir.
is that clear?
Sir, our teacher also told about when the cattle are feeding and some,
Yes. So when the
yeah,
cattle are feeding, yes, so there are some birds called egrets.
yeah, she
Egrets,
told.
right?
Yes.
And they are known as cattle egrets only. Okay. So
Mhm.
what cattle egrets do is they just move with the cattle. So when they are grazing the grass, when they take the grass, uproot the grass, there are some insects that come out from the soil. Okay. So the cattle has nothing to do with the insect, right?
Yes, sir.
It's just
It's
eating the
just
grass.
moving. Yeah.
So it is not at a benefit or a loss, but the egrets, the birds are at a benefit, because when the cattle are eating the grass, insects are coming out,
Yes.
and then these birds will go and eat the insect.
Yes.
So egrets
Sir,
are
I
at
was
a
always like, I always thought that why are they always moving with the cattle along the cattle?
yeah.
In my
You know,
village,
I'll tell you a very interesting story. So in TIFR, we had our gardener.
Okay.
Our gardener uncle, he was an amazing guy to talk to. So he used
Mm.
to water the grasses, okay?
Yes.
And every time there will be 5 or 6 cattle egrets walking with him when he's
Oh,
either he's when he's using the lawn mower and cutting the grasses,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's watering the grasses both the times. So what
Okay.
happens is when he's cutting the grasses, again the same effect of insects coming out, trying.
Yes, yes, yeah.
So they will pick on those insects. So there, because there is no cattle, these egrets made a relationship, an interaction relationship with the human.
Yeah.
And when he's watering, again some insects cannot survive in water, so they will try to come out to the surface, or beetles and all, and they will just
Yes, sir.
those beetles. Yeah, so it's amazing to see that.
Yes.
Yeah, so these are the 6 kind of interactions about which in your NCRT it will go one by one. Predation, okay,